Good morning, guys. Welcome to Spending Time with Gregory. Hope everybody's having a real good morning. I'm up pretty early this morning. Last night I really couldn't get any sleep, and I was a lot of things were like going through my mind, and I was sitting there, and I was kind of like self-reflecting, and I was thinking about, my life, and through self-reflection, I was thinking about when I was young, and my mom came to mind, and I was thinking to myself, my mom was my lifeline. She was my lifeline. I'm the person I am today because of her. I'm the person I am today because of her. I'm able to come to you guys on Spending Time with Gregory because of her. And I think about that, and I lived in a two-parent household, and self-reflecting, this is me talking, and this is my take on, how my life went, and the journey that I was on. And when I was a child, I remember living in this house, and I was a kid, and my mom, and today I'm thinking to myself, she was my, my rock, my fortress, everything. And I reiterate, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. And I was thinking, there was a man in the house, and I guess my mom and him were husband and wife, and I had a sister and me. And I realized, as I got older, living in that house, it was just my mom, and I had this man's last name, but, I realized my mom was my mom. And I say this literally, it was a two-parent household with one parent. Two-parent household with one parent. Now, what do you mean, Greg? When I was a kid, I remember my mom, getting me involved in a lot of activities, boys club, Cub Scouts, church, going to play Little League football, Little League baseball. But I don't remember this man that was in the house taking me anywhere. Or, for 16 years of my life, I never seen this man at any of my athletic events. But I did see him in the house all those times. This is just me self-reflecting, guys. This is me, and that was on my mind last night, and I just wanted to talk about that. I spending time with Gregory, it's a part of my life that I've started to take a look at since getting in the mental health field. You want to look at past traumas, and I guess you could say to me that's traumatic, because I remember a situation where I was spending the night at one of my friend's house, and it was dinner time. And all of us, you know, his mom called us, all us to the table. And my friend was at the table, I was at the table, his father was at the table, his mom was at the table. And we were sitting there, and everybody had steaks on their plate. And I didn't know how to cut the steak. So his dad, who was sitting at the table, showed me how to cut a steak. I didn't know how to cut a steak. And I was, you know, for him to be at the table with his mom and dad, and, you know, it seemed like to me it was a two-parent household, you know. And throughout the years, you know, I was spending the night at friends' house who, you know, had two parents. And it seemed like to me they had a two-parent household. But I could honestly, you know, say that I lived in a two-parent household with one parent. Guys, you know, I remember when I was 16 years old and my mom was telling me that she was getting a divorce. And I really, it was a happy time, you know, and, you know, for me, because this man never said, you know, I love you, Greg. I'm coming to your game tonight, you know. And as I self-reflect, I think about being married myself and having a son, and for 33 years of his life, me, you know, being out on the street on drugs. And then I, you know, revert back to, you know, generational trauma. And my son, you know, I can, some of the things that he goes through, I could see because I wasn't there. And his mom was there. His mom was his backbone, guys. And all this awareness for me is coming, you know, through my studies today. And I self-reflect, and I appreciate you guys listening to me on Spending Time with Gregory. And everything positive on Spending Time with Gregory, you know. Just ask yourself, you know, about, you self-reflect yourself and take a look at your life. And, you know, that's what I encourage you to do on Spending Time with Gregory. Thank you for letting me share, guys. You guys have a good evening, good you know, day. See you in my next video. Thank you.